Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we'll be doing a breakdown of Colter Wall's new album, Memories and Empties. If you don't know who Colter Wall is, I recommend checking him out. He's a Canadian country artist who has an insanely deep and raspy voice. He's got a real gritty style and incorporates a lot of elements of blues and folk into his music. He's a very strong storyteller. That's something that he does very well. And he's also a real-life rancher on top of being a country musician. So let's get into the album. Again, it's called Memories and Empties, and we'll start with the cover. I'll put it up here on the screen. So we have Colter Wall on the cover leaning up against what looks like a large horse trailer, and he's holding an acoustic guitar. It's a pretty simple album cover. At the top, you see it list every track on the album. It really reminds me of older album covers. The album itself is a rather short album. It's 10 tracks. It's just over 30 minutes long, about 33 minutes long. So as we go track by track with this album, you'll notice it's got an almost formulaic ebb and flow between these fast-paced, upbeat tracks and the slower, more melancholy tracks. But right as you pick up on that, it's about halfway through the album, once you pick up on that, it switches up, gets a lot more dynamic from song to song. The songs themselves become a little more dynamic. Starting with the track 1800 Miles, this kicks off the album with an upbeat mood. It's a high energy feel with the fast tempo, loud volume. It's got a variety of instruments from the electric guitars, acoustic guitars, harmonica, piano, drums, all of that. Something that's a common theme on this album is the guitars, the piano, and occasionally even the harmonica all just seem to really dance with each other in the way that they're played, in the way that they pass off to one another, and it creates some really beautiful sounds. The second half of this track is purely instrumental, just creating a nice jam session that really sends off the track in a nice way. The next track is My Present Just Gets Past Me. It's a melancholy sound. It's a pretty low energy track with a slow paced tempo. It has a very tranquil, relaxed instrumentation, and the guitar on this really just makes me want to lay on a beach somewhere. Moving on, we have the next track, which is called Like the Hills. We go back to an upbeat mood, fast tempo, but it's not quite as loud as the first track. And this one yet again has the harmonica, guitars, and the piano all dancing with each other in a sense where the way they're passing off with one another and each getting its own in the spotlight. I just can't get enough of that and the great music that it creates. And then it sends us into the title track, which is called Memories and Empties. And this is what you might start to pick up on, but we're back to a more melancholy sound, a slower tempo. It has very relaxed instrumentation, and I really like the chorus. I think it's clever with the replacing memories with empties. Next up, we have the track with the longest title, which is called It's Getting So That a Man Can't Go Into Town Just to Have Him a Drink. This song returns to a more upbeat mood and is fast-paced again, following the trend. On this track, the guitar and Colter Wall's cadence really remind me of early Johnny Cash, which includes pretty humorous lyrics about having a night out on the town, maybe having a little too much to drink, calling your ex-wife, bragging about how great your life is, and maybe asking her for a ride home. Next up, we have the track Living by the Hour. This is really the track that begins to break the trend of the upbeat, fast-paced to more melancholy, slower sounds, just going back and forth between that, and starts to get a little more dynamic. This one has a more upbeat mood, but is much slower in tempo compared to the other upbeat tracks on this album. This track has a simplistic feel, which is bolstered by the lyrics, which describe the daily chores that come with life on a ranch. Next up, we have the song 4/4 Time, which is very calm and mellow. It's much slower tempo, and this one has these subtle volume changes that are throughout the track that make it a little more dynamic than the rest of the tracks on the album so far. Moving on, we have the next track, The Longer You Hold On. If memory serves me well, this is the only track on the album that uses the dobro, which gives it that southern twang sound. This song has a slow tempo in the beginning, but gradually speeds up throughout the entire track to where we end with a pretty fast tempo compared to the start. But it has this subdued energy throughout the track, which matches the subject matter of coming to terms with a relationship ending. The penultimate track, Back to Me, is a very dynamic track with the volume changes, and it's got this ebb and flow of energy where it intensifies and then calms back down. It does this repeatedly, and I think this back and forth of the calmness and the intensifying really makes it representative of the album as a whole. With the final track, Summer Wages, we end on a soft note. It's a slow tempo, and it has a nice contrast between the quiet verses and the loud chorus. Overall, I really enjoyed this album. I love how the guitars and the piano and the harmonica all dance with each other. I like the back and forth between the high energy and the low energy in the first half, and then with the second half switching it up and getting much more dynamic and changing up the formula. The album has a really good mix. Each instrument comes through really clearly. It has some great songwriting throughout the entire album. Honestly, probably some of his greatest songwriting yet. And while I mentioned that Colter Wall normally has a gritty style to his music, this album really strays away from that and adopts more of a waltz and swing style to it as opposed to the gritty style he's known for. And even though this album has the more waltz and swing style to it, somehow his incredibly baritone voice doesn't clash in a bad way with it and complements it very well. In my opinion, this is one of his stronger albums to date for sure. Overall, it's an album I would definitely recommend to go check out. Again, it's called Memories and Empties by Colter Wall. That's it for this video. Thanks for sticking around and listening to me yap about this album, and we'll see you next time.